At least 10 people have been killed.
But now in Spain, at least 21 people have died after two high-speed trains collided. It happened near the town of Ademuz, where a train heading towards Madrid derailed and hit another on the other side of the tracks.
Do you want to earn a university degree but think you're not qualified? Thousands of students are earning their dream degrees through
Jumping out of smashed windows, survivors of a crash between two high-speed trains near the Spanish city of Córdoba. At least 39 people lost their lives when the final carriages of a northbound train derailed before being struck by a southbound train at 7:45 p.m. last night. Anna was travelling with her sister, who's being treated in hospital.
I was sat on one side and could feel myself rising, and I thought, that's not normal. I travel a lot by train. That's when I looked at my sister, and it's the last moment I remember before it all went dark. Suddenly, I only heard yelling. Some people were fine and others were really bad, and we had them in front of us, and you could see them dying, and there was nothing you could do.
Spanish emergency services said at least 150 were injured, with 12 in intensive care. Spain's Prime Minister travelled to the site where he announced 3 days of national mourning.
Creo que hoy es un día de dolor para toda España, para todo nuestro país.
It's a painful day for Spain, a painful day for the whole country. Our thoughts are with the victims and their families, to whom we want to send our condolences and solidarity.
Queremos enviar nuestro recuerdo, nuestro pensamiento, nuestra solidaridad.
Quite how this happened is still in question. The operator said neither train was speeding, that the train that derailed was built in 2022 and had passed an inspection just 4 days ago. The section of rail where the crash occurred had also recently been upgraded. It was, Spain's transport minister said, strange.
El accidente es tremendamente extraño, es en una recta.
The accident is extremely strange. It happened on a straight stretch of track. All the railway experts who have been here today at the centre and those we have been able to consult are extremely surprised by the accident. Because, as I say, it is strange, very strange. It is very difficult to explain at this point.
Last night's crash happened here in Ademuz, along Spain's high-speed rail link into the capital, Madrid. This morning it emerged that a train drivers' union had been warning the operator of severe wear and tear along the tracks with bumps and potholes, something investigators will no doubt pore over. It's a bitter moment for Spain, which experienced Europe's deadliest rail disaster of the 21st century in 2013. In Galicia, a train travelling nearly twice the speed limit as it turned a corner veered off the tracks, killing 80. Its driver and operator's safety chief were jailed in 2024. In this video posted by a passenger, people travelling in the train whose final coaches derailed calmly gather their things and make their way off, unaware of what exactly has happened. Authorities said most of the casualties occurred in the oncoming southbound train, which was pushed off the tracks and down an embankment. Karima's brother Ahmed was on it and is being treated for a fractured knee.
People died near him, and he told me that a little girl was asking him for help. He couldn't help her because he had a broken knee and couldn't move. She was calling for help. He feels bad for not being able to help.
Andalusia's emergency agency urged surviving passengers to contact their families as authorities scramble to work out exactly what went wrong. Joining me now is the travel expert Simon Calder. Simon, thank you for joining us. This derailed train was relatively new. It had passed an inspection just a few days ago. So what do you think an incident like this could be down to?
There's all kinds of possible causes, but undoubtedly the investigators would be looking at the possibility that there was a broken rail. Of course, everything about high-speed rail in Spain and everywhere else is designed 100% with safety in mind, with all kinds of systems to protect passengers and crew. Something has gone absolutely appallingly, as we've just been seeing in those pictures here, and a dreadful loss of life. But it would be, I suggest, when you're talking about a straight stretch of track, it would be most likely, although most certainly not definite, that a broken rail could be responsible.
We understand that a Spanish train drivers' union warned the rail operator late August of severe wear and tear on high-speed rail tracks. Could this have anything to do with this? What do you make of that letter?
We are way too early to be apportioning blame. Of course, transport safety, whether you're talking about aviation or rail, learns from past tragedies. So everybody will want to understand what is going on here. If there was some kind of negligence involved in keeping the tracks maintained, that is going to be, of course, an appalling scenario. It may be that a set of circumstances occurred that simply nobody had foreseen. It's just too early to say. One thing I'm absolutely keen for people to understand is that this does not mean that high-speed rail is dangerous. Yes, we've had a crash tragically in 2013 in which 79 people died in Spain, but in terms of relative safety compared with the roads in Spain and everywhere else in Europe, in particular in the UK, rail is just so much safer than driving.
Spain's transport minister has said that this is very unusual. He said it was very strange and he wasn't sure what had happened here. Does this raise concerns about safety standards?
I don't think that people need to be concerned about safety standards in Spain, in Britain, anywhere, simply because there are so many professionals who are absolutely committed to ensuring the safety of passengers and crew. Yes, we certainly saw around the turn of the century in the UK a series of crashes which were appalling and took many lives and were many of them down to poor infrastructure. But at this stage, we can just hope that the rescuers' work can proceed and that the investigators will clearly identify the cause, and that will help to improve safety still further in future.
Simon.
Crumpled carriages strewn across railway tracks. This was the scene when daylight revealed the extent of the destruction after a train crash in Spain's Cordoba province. The night before, the emergency response teams used flashlights to inspect the scene. It was a race against time for ambulances, and at least a dozen survivors were critically injured. Friends and relatives gathered at nearby hospitals, desperate for news.
Our family received a call from a health professional because my brother lost his phone in the accident, and we came with only the clothes on our backs.
People died near him. He told me that a little girl was asking him for help, but he couldn't help her because he had a broken knee and couldn't move.
Some of the survivors shared footage of the scene moments after the collision. A high-speed train was travelling from Malaga to Madrid with hundreds of passengers on board. It derailed at 7:45 near Ademuz, ploughing into a train travelling in the opposite direction, sending carriages hurtling down an embankment. Authorities have offered their condolences and pledged support.
Right now, surgical procedures are being conducted, and I want to thank all healthcare workers. We have requested a massive mobilisation for them to be ready to help.
Police say a thorough investigation will be conducted to determine the cause of the crash. But questions are already being asked about how a train that was practically brand new could derail, causing such a catastrophic collision. Laura Khan, Al Jazeera.
Spain's Interior Ministry says at least 39 people have been killed and dozens more injured after the collision of two high-speed trains. The accident happened overnight in the southern region of Andalusia. The trains were carrying around 500 people and many were trapped inside the wreckage. The cause of the accident remains unknown.
The wreckage of Sunday's crash lies strewn across the tracks as the death toll from the country's worst rail disaster in over a decade climbs. A grueling rescue operation continued throughout the night after the high-speed train derailed, colliding with an oncoming service.
What happened was that the long-distance train derailed. The Irio 6189 train, which was traveling between Malaga and Puerto de Atocha. It landed on the adjacent track, where another long-distance train was traveling from Puerto de Atocha to Huelva, and it also derailed. In addition, part of one of the trains fell down a 4-meter embankment.
Around 400 passengers and staff were travelling on the two trains. Survivors described the moment of the collision.
The first thing we noticed was a sudden braking, but we remained in place. We didn't have time to react when, in a fraction of a second, another much stronger impact came, which caused suitcases, clothes and people to be scattered all over the carriage.
We were very lucky because the scene was absolutely terrifying. The overhead lines had fallen, cables were everywhere.
The train was travelling on the Malaga to Madrid line when the accident happened in a remote area of southern Spain. A spokesperson for the Red Cross said this complicated rescue efforts. Spain's transport minister described the incident as extremely strange, and the train's operator confirmed on Monday morning that the derailed vehicle underwent an inspection just days ago.
DW correspondent Nicole Reese is following the story for us from the Spanish capital, Madrid. Nicole, the Spanish transportation minister has called this accident extremely weird. Do we already know more about why it happened?
Extremely weird and also difficult to explain. That were his words. And he also said that this whole accident happened on a straight stretch of this connection, which makes it extremely weird, that the train wasn't that old at all. It's maybe 3 or 4 years old, and that the train tracks there are also always have been under maintenance or have been renewed. So this makes this a tragic accident very strange. What we know so far is what we just heard, that one train going from Malaga to Madrid derailed. The rear part of the carriages actually derailed due to an unknown cause. They then went into the opposite tracks and they were hit by another train there. And then some of the carriages actually apparently fell down an embankment of about 4 meters. It's sort of a secondary crash that happened there. The country at the moment is, when you talk to people here, is in a state of shock and despair because nobody quite understands what happened last night. This is a very frequently used connection between Malaga and Madrid. Many commuters were probably on this train going back to Madrid to work today on a Monday. They've been going back to their villages or cities just for the weekend. Obviously, traffic is now suspended. It will be for a few days or even more time until these train carriages also have been removed from the tracks, until authorities actually have been able to start investigating it as well. So we're all very shocked here, but also in the dark about what actually caused this accident.
The trains have reportedly been fully evacuated now. Nicole, how difficult was the rescue operation?
It was a quite difficult rescue operation, given that these carriages also, some of them fell down this embankment. Obviously, carriages were bent and twisted. The military emergency unit was on the ground also to cut people out of these trains to go there through the metal. In the meantime, also hospitals had stocked up on staff nearby just to make sure that they have enough people to take care of the victims, which are many. There are more than 100 people currently in hospital, some of them in a severe state, in a life-threatening situation. What we also understand is that the first people who were on site to help were actually locals, just trying to get people out of these carriages, those ones who were approachable, giving them food, also drinks. Also the local police went on, and then the emergency unit also obviously was deployed as a matter of necessity in this moment.
Yeah, all hands on deck situation, certainly. Train travel is huge in Spain. Overall, how safe is the rail network there?
Well, the train network here is very safe. You might know the feeling when you sit on a train, you feel comfortable, you feel safe, the train just goes smoothly. Well, there are obviously delays, but other than that, accidents happen less. These kind of big accidents, of course. The last accident that was quite big here in Spain was in 2013, when a train in northern Spain, close to Santiago de Compostela, derailed due to the driver heading into a curve above the permitted speed limit. So this was a human cause which made this accident happen, and 80 people die back then. Now today we don't know if there's a human error or that if it was a technical issue, what happened on these train tracks. We also understand here that the driver of this train unfortunately has passed away. He would maybe be an important witness for this, but there will be a lot of investigations that the country is trying to sort out and deal with the amount of victims as well who are in hospitals currently receiving treatment.
Yeah.
Have you been injured due to a slip, trip or fall in the last 3 years? If the answer is yes, you need to keep watching this video.
Our correspondent Sadia Chowdhury in the newsroom for us there. And Sadia, this has been a developing situation. Earlier this morning, the number of people known to have died was at 21. That then got revised up to 39. We know that at least 100 people were left injured. What's the latest? And have we got any understanding as to how this happened?
Well, that number, the 39 fatalities, is set to rise. Authorities say that the recovery part of this operation has reached the third carriage of one of the trains. And they say that they believe there is an undetermined number of fatalities there, a figure that could be high. That's what they've said earlier today. As you say, they had said that most of the deaths they expected to be in the first two carriages of the second train. This is the one that hit the derailed part of the first train. That train was travelling at around 124 miles per hour. Efforts are continuing to recover the bodies of this accident. All survivors have been rescued, authorities say. So 39 fatalities. We know 122 people have been treated for injuries. 11 people remain in intensive care. 12 people remain in intensive care, 11 of them adults and one of them a child. Eyewitnesses spoke about feeling something like an earthquake as the first train derailed. Lots of people were filmed crawling out of the windows using those emergency hammers to smash through the windows, and hundreds of people we know had to be rescued in pitch darkness because this collision happened in a part of the route that is particularly relatively dark, not well lit, and difficult to get to. We spoke to some of the survivors. Have a listen to what they said.
Los últimos coches estaban caídos y
The last carriages were overturned. There were lots of people. Everyone was running.
We have to help, don't we? If we don't help with this, what? Imagine if it happened to you or to me. It puts me in a bad mood. We're all from the villages, yes, but they haven't told us anything. I'm willing to take someone, lend a hand, whatever I can. Everyone has done what they can.
And when I got there, I was able to carry a boy on my back from the bottom of the track because this was, I don't know, maybe 500 meters away, and I brought him here on my back. I left him at my house, and I'm looking for his mother and a friend of his who was with them to see if I can find them, at least his mother, who doesn't know if he's alive or not.
Well, a centre has been set up to help relatives come and provide DNA samples, and personnel from Dana have also been brought in. They have expertise, specific expertise in helping to identify bodies. We saw them in 2024 during those awful floods in eastern Spain. Well, the derailment and collision is said to have happened around altogether in about 30 seconds, which one of the train operators says was such a short time that it didn't give the driver a chance to activate the security systems. That is according to Renfe, which is one of the operators of one of the trains. We're currently being told that it is difficult to really understand what caused this crash. Officials you heard there earlier saying that it is very strange because it happened on a very straight and flat part of a track that had recently been renovated, and one of the trains was relatively new. In fact, it's being reported that it had one of its latest inspections just 4 days ago. And what we've also heard from the president of one of the train companies is that the speed records are showing that the trains were travelling at a speed lower than that assigned to that section, so certainly within the speed limit. They say it may take a month to know fully what happened, and up until Tuesday, at least this week, all high-speed trains are cancelled.
Sadia, good to have you with us.
Riu Days are here with 20% off. Book now only on Riu.com.
¿Os parece, presidente?
Empiezo yo, ¿no? Cuando me digan o...
Vamos a esperar unos segundos que nos digan... Cuando tú nos digas, Alfredo.
Say, we'll get started. Okay, ready to go. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good is just a turn of phrase, really. As the mayor of the town hall of Ademuz, I'd like to say that since we got the call from 112, we mobilised the local police to attend this fatal accident. We didn't understand really the magnitude of it. We called out civil protection, the local police. We were there from the outset, helping people, rescuing the injured. And from there, the upper echelons of the administration took over the coordination calmly. And we would very much like to thank the people of Ademuz, who from the very first moment came out to help and brought blankets and food and brought vehicles down, made everything needed available to us, and lent a helping hand. As a result of this terrible accident, I'd like to offer my most heartfelt condolences to those who have lost loved ones. And really, that's all I have to say. Thank you. Prime Minister, ministers, we've had to deal with an unprecedented disaster, and as a result of this terrible rail accident yesterday, in these very few short words, I'd like to thank everyone for their cooperation, all of the inhabitants of the local area, and they've done something very typical of people in Andalusia. They've shown their solidarity. I mean, basically, that just shows what we're made of. And I'd like to thank everyone, all the local people, for their show of solidarity. And from all over Spain and from the whole of Andalusia, we've received your heartfelt condolences and thanks. We'd like to thank everyone for this collective effort in helping us to face this very difficult moment.
All the necessary coordination is in place that's required when facing a disaster of this nature. We need, obviously, the media, we need everyone's cooperation, we need loyalty. And this is basically what we need in order to, as far as possible, deal with something which really is just beyond our capabilities as a local administration. And so yesterday and today, we've been working with the town council, with the provincial government of Córdoba and the national government of Spain with a single purpose and objective, and that is to reach and help those who are affected. Some 48 people are currently in hospital. The numbers are growing. Hopefully, they will all be finally discharged. And as you know, we're also trying to identify, together with the authorities, the employees of ADIF and the victims. There's still many, many hours of very hard work ahead of us. And each different administration, level of government will do everything they can to help. And obviously, we will do our utmost to keep you informed about your loved ones and offer you our support through the different psychology and medical services available. Hopefully, we will never, ever have to face a situation like this again in Andalusia or any other part of Spain or the world for that matter, because it is a terribly sad and painful event and will leave a mark on us here in Andalusia, I'm sure, forever. So on behalf of all of the different levels of government, we would like to thank you for all your support, and I'm sure that together we will do our jobs much faster. Thank you very much, Vice President, Ministers, Lord Mayor, members of the local government, and also I'd like to thank the media for being here today to hear these words and applaud the work of the different services who are doing everything they can do to assist following this terrible accident. Today is a very painful day for all of us. And I would like to express to the victims, the families, the loved ones left behind, our condolences, our solidarity, and offer you the warmest embrace of all of us, which is such a difficult thing to put into words. And we wish the victims of this terrible tragedy a speedy recovery. Any tragedy requires society and its institution to do two things that have already been mentioned: to be unified in our pain and also in our response. I think from the very moment when this tragedy occurred, the government has acted as it should do, in unity, in a coordinated fashion, and with loyalty, as has been alluded to. I'd like to highlight and acknowledge the work of all of the public servants and the emergency services, the medics, from the City Hall right up to national government, and recognize the work that they have done. They've been working well into the night, and I'd like to applaud and acknowledge their professionalism, their humanity. And I think all of this needs to be highlighted in a moment of such pain and tragedy. We empathize with the work that they have been doing and continue to do throughout today. It is true that the Spanish people, like any people, will be asking themselves questions. What has happened? How has it happened? How has it been possible that this tragedy has unfolded? Time and the work done by the specialists and the technicians will bring the answers. And this is another feeling I'd like to convey to the Spanish people, that we will get to the truth, we will find the answers, and as soon as we have those answers and we understand what has caused this tragedy, we will inform you clearly and in full transparency, and we will make that information available through the media to the public. In the meantime, I can guarantee to the victims and to their families that from national government, together in coordination with all other institutions, we will protect you. We will assist you. We will support you in any way you need for as long as you need. And finally, as the Prime Minister of the government, this afternoon we will decree 3 days of official mourning as of midnight tonight through to midnight Thursday.
Love.